Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. How are y'all doing today? Many of you guys have asked me not to stop doing the content. I know we're going through a lot right now and things are really difficult, and I just want you guys to know that I'm here for you. But a lot of you have also asked me to just keep pushing simply because you need something to get you through these days. So that's what I'm here to do today. I took some time this week just to kind of mellow in everything that's going on and do the things that I could to participate and help in the situations that I am in right now. I haven't been feeling well either, so that kind of put a damper on filming too. But I was feeling a little bit better today, so I figured why not go ahead and do it. I've been promising you guys a video on Regimen, and that's what we're going to do today. So I get a lot of questions about Regimen. I get a lot of DMs. I get a lot of comments in the comment sections about wanting me to help you guys with your regimen. And one thing that a lot of people don't really understand is that I cannot give you products specifically for your hair. And I cannot give you advice specifically for your hair if, one, I haven't seen it, first of all, but two, I don't know anything about you. And to be quite honest, things like that, those are things that are consulting, and those are things that you would have to pay me for if you wanted that much work put into helping you figure out how to do your own hair, right? That doesn't mean that I can't give you guys a basic blueprint on how to start developing your regimen and learning the things that you need to do to help keep your hair intact the most. Regimen is very personal. A lot of people think that it's just products. And a lot of people think that they can just follow what everyone else is doing and they're going to get results. But that's not true. We all lead very different lives. We all live in different climates. But there are basic building blocks that I can give you guys to help start building your own. I'm also going to share some tools with you, as well as some contacts if you are in need of further help with developing a regimen that's going to be more personal to you. So if you're interested in hearing all of my tips on developing the perfect regimen for your hair, then just keep on watching. So we all know a basic regimen should include cleansing, conditioning and or deep conditioning, installing moisture, and styling. Now, those are all things that are very important, but there are also some things that you need to keep in mind first when building your regimen. Now, I'm a planner. I don't know if you guys are, but I am a planner, and I like to plan out the things that I'm going to do accordingly, especially when I was in the beginning of my natural hair journey. I started building a regimen and really getting knee deep in my natural hair journey at a time when I was probably the busiest I had ever been. I was in school, I was working multiple jobs, I was doing internships, I was running organizations. I was never home. And I still managed to build a regimen that was successful for me and my hair. So let's talk about some factors that we need to consider when developing a personal regimen, because these are factors that are going to help you decide how often you need to do these things that do build your regimen. So first is climate. If you live somewhere where it's only hot and muggy 3 days out of the year, your regimen is going to look very different from mine. You may need to use things that are heavier in the oils and butters category, things that are going to be more sealing to your hair, that are going to lock in that moisture. Consider, is there a lot of moisture in the air? Do you tend to have very high dew points? Is it typically very dry where you are? Is it typically very cold where you are? Is it typically very hot where you are? These things also come into play in terms of, if it's hot, you're probably gonna sweat, right? So also consider that as well. If you are a heavy sweater, you may need to shampoo more than somebody who rarely sweats at all, especially in your scalp. I sweat in my scalp a lot, so I have to hit my hair with water more than someone who doesn't. Another factor that a lot of people don't talk about is water. depending on where you live, how close to the ocean you are, and things like that, are all going to determine the different types of things that's in your water. You may have more chlorine in your tap water if you are closer to the beach than someone who is living further inland. We all know that water treatment plants and things are putting extra minerals in our water, which can also lead to how the water affects your hair. If you have extremely hard water, you are going to be more prone to buildup simply because of the water that is going onto your hair. Now, there are ways that you can combat this. There are water softening shower heads and things of that nature that will help. For a lot of people, they have no clue that they have hard water. I will say that if you use certain products in one area and you find that they work very different in another area, I think that's very general proof that water does play a part in it. Having hard water will determine what types of products and tools that you will need. Some of your products may not work the best in hard water. And depending on what type of mineral deposits you have in your hard water, it may determine whether you want to add certain types of clay treatments as well, which help to attract those minerals that are in the water away from your hair. Also, your work schedule is really going to determine how you develop your regimen. For me, I like to plan my basic regimen around my work schedule. And also for me, because I am a content creator, my content is built into my regimen. I do not go out of my way to wash my hair every other day to create content because it's not the healthiest for my hair. I found a balance, and so I force my content to work within that. And as you can see, I'm still getting up 2 to 3 videos a week, even though I'm not, forcing myself to wash my hair every single day. So I always like to go to my calendar. I have my Erin Condren planner that my mom got for me, and I absolutely love it. And I love it because you can basically design it any way you want to. And so all of my months, I have a basic calendar, but I also have a weekly calendar that is split into different hours of the day. And so I can plan my day down to the very last second, which I really like. Now, you don't have to have an Erin Condren. You don't have to be as specific as I am, but I do this because it allows me to pinpoint when I'm going to be home, when I'm going to be at work, when I'm going to be filming, or when I'm going to be doing other things. So I always put my work schedule into my planner because my schedule is very fluid. I don't work the same hours every single week. So for me, on average, I'm waking up around 4:45 in the morning and I'm getting home around noon. Usually when I get home, I'm either doing one of two things, taking care of something at home, or I'm filming. I will have a couple of days off on the week, and so I tend to plan when I'm going to do my hair and when I'm going to film content around the days that I have off. But because I tend to work very early mornings, this gives me the freedom to come home and still be able to do my hair and not have to worry about going to bed with wet hair or having a ruined style when I wake up the next day. Since I'm getting home around noon, I can still get in a co-wash or a shampoo and all the other things that I do in between, sit under a hooded dryer, and my hair is ready to go for the next day when I have to be at work at 4:45, right? Those are all things to consider. Your work schedule and the schedule that you just have in general for your life is going to be very important when determining your regimen, because I stress this all the time. You do not want to be trying to do your hair when you are rushing and super duper impatient. I'm the type of person, if I really need to do my hair, but I know I'm in a situation where I'm gonna be rushing, I can't get it done right now, I'll put it in a puff, I'll put it in a bun, and I will wait until the next day when I can actually do what I need to do without rushing my hair, because that's going to decrease the amount of hair that you're ripping out. A lot of times if I'm stressed out about something or if I'm rushing, I will apply way more product than I need. And it ends up being a fail anyway, and I have to do it all over again. Another factor that you also want to consider is the type of work that you do. Not everyone works strenuous jobs. If you are at a desk all day, you're going to have a lot more freedom with being able to play around with your hairstyles, depending on where you work, of course. But you're also going to have a lot more freedom in terms of not having to have the urgency to let your scalp hit water every day. For me, the jobs that I have worked, whether I have been in my field or out of my field, have typically been relatively strenuous. The job that I work now is very physical, and so I sweat a lot during the day. Previously, when I was in school, I was doing a lot of environmental research. I was in the forest a lot. And when I wasn't doing that, I was also doing a lot of canvassing on the ground, which it gets very hot and sticky and muggy when you're going from place to place, house to house, business to business. And I have also worked in research. So even though I have spent a lot of time in the lab, a lot of those days as well, I would also have to be out in a research field or a greenhouse. I would sweat a lot. Those days where I was working that type of job, I would have to co-wash more than I do now because I would get dirt in my hair. I was working around a lot of different plants, and some of those things needed, those particulates did need to be washed out of my hair when I got home. Sometimes I would just be covered in mud from head to toe. So those are all things that are going to determine how often you need to cleanse your hair. Those are things that are going to be very important down the line. If you are working somewhere where you don't have to sweat a lot, you don't have to do a lot, you are going to have the fluidity of not having to touch your hair more than once a week, if that is what you want to do, if that is what you prefer, and if that is what your hair and your scalp allows. Next, physical activity. Those of you who are gym rats, I used to be a gym rat. I'm getting back into being a gym rat, except Rona was like, yeah, bitch, forget that. So I've had to find other ways to be active. But if you are someone who loves to work out, if you love to go to the gym, if you're in the gym multiple days a week, that's going to affect your regimen. The amount of time that you spend sweating, especially if you are a heavy sweater, I'm a heavy sweater. When I leave the gym, I'm drenched. My hair is drenched. And that also is going to affect how often you have to let your hair hit water, because you can't have all that dirt and salt all up in your hair thinking that it's not going to affect anything, right? You may, want more options in terms of refreshers, things that are going to soothe your scalp, stuff like that. So that is also a very important piece. Physical activity is very important, not only because it's going to also help take care of the inside, which is also very important to hair growth and hair health, but it is also going to determine how you need to build your regimen around doing that. I also added in time constraints because we all have very different time constraints depending on what we do. So if you have children, someone who has 5 kids or even one kid can be like having many, is going to have a more difficult time getting some of that me time in than someone else who doesn't have children. I hate it when I see other YouTubers telling people that they're lazy or they just don't care about their hair or they don't want to see the results because they're trying to figure out how to do all of these things. But I mean, they have children that you can only step away from your kids for so long, right? Especially like if you're a single parent, you ain't got nobody there to help you. I mean, these are all things that are important. And I feel like if you are somebody who is working from home, has a manager, has a stylist, has an editor, has somebody to do all the hard stuff for you, and the only thing you got to take care of is you and maybe a cat or a dog, then you ain't got no right to tell people that they're lazy because they need to take care of their children before they take care of their hair. It just is what it is. I know for me, I do a lot of volunteer work. I've also been in a lot of organizations and groups. You guys know I play violin. So ideally, like soon, this is going to be something that's going to play a part in how I work out my regimen, being back in an orchestra setting. You know, having to take out time to practice during the week, but also being at rehearsals 1 to 2 times a week as well. That's going to eat up time that you have at home. And you have to build your regimen around that. So the reason I like to have an hourly calendar is because, one, I like to see everything in the order in which I need to do it and be able to anticipate. But it also really does help because once you lay everything out, you can see very clearly where you have the time to put what you need to do to your hair into that category. And you can also make sure that the little things that you need to do daily to maintain are also in there, so you're not forgetting them. You know where you can work everything in, and that also gives you an ability to see if you have some wiggle room to play, to experiment. All those things are very important. So climate, water, your work schedule, and the type of work that you do, your physical activity, and all of those different time constraints that we all have just as general human beings are going to play a big part in how you develop your regimen.